Hello students. Hello students, I'm Sonali Kelkar from City International School, and today we are going to do the chapter Heredity and Evolution. Today I'm going to teach you about the Mendel's contributions towards the hereditary or towards the genetics. So let's start today's session. Now we'll start with the introduction first. As I told you that the hereditary, okay, it basically starts from the chromosomes. Here we can see the chromosomes. How it starts from the chromosomes? The hereditary, that is basically concerned with the DNA. It is present in the chromosomes. So these chromosomal structure, which is basically present in the nucleus, it has the body map of a person. Okay, the whole body structure, how the person is going to look, what will be about his height, about the color, about the texture of his hair. Every characteristic of a person, every trait of a person is controlled by DNA. And in the DNA there is specifically a portion of DNA which is called gene. This portion is nothing but it is a protein. It is a protein which basically controls a particular trait. So we have a different type of protein. We have a protein for height, we have a protein for iris, we have a protein for skin color, we have a protein for curly hairs, we have a protein for free lobes, and so on and on and on, right? So these proteins are uh, controlling the hormones and its functions, right? These proteins control the hormones and its function. Let's take an example of tall. Okay, the tallness of a person, the height of a person, it is basically depend upon a growth hormone, right? It is basically depends upon the growth hormone. And this growth hormone, when uh, in the gene, this when a gene is producing a good amount of growth hormone, then a person will grow tall. Okay, or let's say if we have taken the example of plant, that is Pisum sativum or pea plant, then if a growth hormone is producing at good amount in that plant, then that plant will grow tall. But if the growth hormone is distorted, it is not in a good amount, then definitely that plant won't be able to produce good amount of growth hormone. Okay, and the plant will be short. Okay, so tall plant and short plant. So you can see the different traits over here can be controlled by the genes. So basically a gene is a hereditary unit of a person. In a person, the hereditary unit is gene. Okay, and where is this gene present? The gene is present in the DNA, and this DNA is forming chromatin material, highly coiled chromatin material, right? These chromatin material are generally present in the cell, but when the cell commences or starts the cell division, these chromatin material, they get highly coiled and forms chromosomes. So chromosomes, you can able to see chromosomes only when the cells are going to start division. Okay, when the cell is going to commence the division, that time the chromosomes will be seen. Here I have taken a picture of a cell which is undergoing a process, that is meiosis. Meiosis takes place in germ cells or reproductive cells. Here we can see how the cell chromatin material is dense over here, because this cell is going to start the division, right? these densely chromatin material will supercoil and going to form chromosomes. Here the chromosomes are available, can be seen, right? Chromosomes, and there are sister chromosomes. That means one chromosome is forming another chromosome. I'll take a different color. One chromosome is there and it is forming another chromosome which is called sister chromosome, right? And at the time of a division, these chromosomes will get separate from each other and they are going to form a gametes, right? And here you can see the chromosomes, right? Now here this is also one chromosome and the other, that is a sister chromosome. There is a sister chromosome here. They are formed chromosomes, right? And let's take this chromosome is coming from father. This chromosome is coming from father and the other chromosome is coming from mother. Again father, okay, this is from mother and the red one is from father, and we call them, these chromosomes are known as homologous chromosomes, right? Homologous chromosomes. And at the time of division they are going to separate from each other. Here we can see the homologous chromosomes, they are getting separate from each other, right? Okay, and when they are separating from each other, they are forming gametes. They are forming gametes. Let's take, we know that the number of gametes formed at the end of meiosis are 4 and all 4 gametes are haploid in number. Okay, they are haploid in number. If you are taking a example of tallness, so then it is possible that this gamete will have one tall gene, this gamete will have one short gene, this can have tall genes and this can also have a short gene, right? And there can be any type of combination. They all can have tall genes or they all can have short genes, or there can be any number of combinations, right? So I've just taken one combination here, right? When this particular trait is present in one, let's take, it's a sperm present in one sperm, right? Fine. And when this sperm fuses with ovum, suppose even the ovum, there are 4 ovum, and this process is taking place in female ovary, and this is also having, let's take the T, capital T, small t, capital T. I have taken 50-50, 50% of capital T, 50% of small t. Now capital T stands for the trait tall, and small t, the small letters, stand for the trait short. Okay, the tall pea plant and the short pea plant, right? And let's take, these are eggs or ova, fine. So each is called ovum, and when this fuses, the sperm fuses with this ovum, what we are going to get, the zygote, what we are going to get is, it will have capital T and small t. Okay, so again the diploid number is formed or it is retained, diploid, and these are n number are called haploid. Okay, so when during the formation of gamete, the genes are getting separated, the genes of one particular trait are getting separated and they are going to gametes, right? So this is what is happening during the formation of gametes. Okay, so we can summarize that during the formation of gametes, two contrast character, or they can be the same character, genes will go into the respective germ cell. Okay, they will go into the respective germ cell. They will, what are the germ cells? Sperm in case of male and ova in case of female. So these will, only one gene of a particular character will go into the germ cell and they will form a gamete. So whatever we have learned is very important and very basic thing uh, for the further studies of heredity. Now coming to the homologous chromosome, this we have already discussed. These are the chromosomes which have come from one come from the parent male father and one come from the female, that is mother, and they are of similar shape, a similar size, right? And what they bear genes governing the same trait. Now here we can see the homologous chromosome. Okay, this is the pair of homologous chromosome, one coming from father, the other is coming from mother, and on these chromosomes you can see these linings. Okay, these linings are depicting the genes. What are genes? As I've told you, these are nothing but the protein, right, responsible for the formation of a particular hormone or a particular enzyme, okay, which will responsible for a particular trait. One trait we have already studied, that is tallness and shortness. Okay, so this particular uh, set of a gene is present on the one chromosome and the other is present on the other chromosome, right? So these alleles are present at the same height. The alleles, they are present at the same height and at the same place on the homologous chromosomes. Clear, students? So this is what is about homologous chromosomes. Now coming to alleles, the one member of a pair of gene that occupies a given position on a homologous chromosome. It is one member of pair of genes. As we have discussed, this is one pair of gene, this is another pair of gene. Okay, they are responsible for a particular trait. Suppose this is responsible for tallness, right? This is also responsible for tallness because they are present in the homologous chromosome. This might be responsible for the color of iris. Okay, color of iris. Then over here, this is also responsible for the color of iris. Okay, these are the alleles. Allele, allele. Now coming to the example over here, these alleles can be in different combination. It means that uh, at one chromosome, okay, there can be a gene of tallness, and the chromosome which is coming from the other parent, there can be the gene of shortness, or else there can be a gene of tallness which is coming from father, and there can be the gene of tallness over here which is coming from mother. Okay, there can be any combination. That is why I have explained you before that how the gametes are forming. They are forming in a random combination, right? But it is important that each gamete, or we can say each sperm or each ovum, is carrying only one gene of a particular trait. It is carrying only one gene of a particular trait, right? So there are the different combination where they can combine together, right? Here the capital T is stands for the dominant allele, and small t is denoting the recessive allele. Now what do we mean by dominant character? The character which express itself in the progeny. Progeny is what? In child, in daughter. Okay, whenever character which express itself is known as dominant character. And the recessive allele means these genes, or the genes which are responsible for a particular trait. Let's take tallness. It cannot able to express itself. In the case of height, the shortness, right? Shortness, not tallness. Tall is a dominant gene which can able to express itself. Short is a recessive gene which cannot able to express itself, right? When they are combined like this, definitely small t, which is a short, it is a recessive character. It cannot able to express itself. The only one condition where the shortness or the genes responsible the short height can able to express when they are in the homozygous condition, right? This is a homozygous recessive condition. This is heterozygous condition, and this is homozygous homozygous okay, condition, when the two short genes coming from the each parent, then only a progeny will show a short height. Okay, so this is how it goes. Now coming to the Mendel's contributions towards the inheritance of trait. Let's see the Mendel's contribution towards the inheritance of trait. The rules for the inheritance of trait in human beings are related to the fact that both father and mother contribute equal amount of genetic material to the child. Okay, so this I have already explained you with reference to the tallness and dwarfness or the shortness. This means that each trait can be influenced by both parental and maternal DNA. Yes, if mother has brown eye, for brown eyes we use capital B, and the father has blue eyes, right? And if the child is getting this is, let's take mother and father. Okay, so according to the first statement that the DNA is distributed equally, or the contribution of the parents is equal. So here mother and father, okay, this gene responsible for the color of eye, brown and blue, the baby will have this combination. And here we can see the brown and blue, and brown is a dominant, brown is a dominant character, children. So definitely our child will have brown eye, right? Only when the baby is getting B, small b, right, from parent, from the mother, and small b from father. So in this case mother may have this heterozygous condition where the small b is present. Father may have BB conditions, blue conditions, or he may also have the capital B and small b, right? So in this case, one gene from mother can come to child, and one small b can come from father to child, and a child can show blue eyes, right? So there are different combinations, but what is important over here, that both father and mother contribute equal amount of genetic material. So a gene of one trait will be coming from mother, and gene from another trait will be coming from father, and the one which is dominant will express in the progeny. Thus for each trait there is two versions in the child. So I have already shown you, right? There are two versions in the child. Okay, so Mendel work out the main rules of such inheritance. The heredity in most of the living organism is found to be regulated by certain definite principles, right? And Mendel opted for Pisum sapium to conduct his experiment, that is a garden pea. So Mendel took pea plants with different characteristics such as tall and short plants. I have shown a table over here which is showing a different characteristic, that is 7 characteristic in pea plant. Okay, and let's go through these different characteristic, purple and white, where the purple is dominant and white is the recessive characteristic, right? And the other one is flower position, axial, that is at the top, and axial at the side part, okay, and terminal is the top, the apex part, the apex of a plant, terminal. Then seed color, yellow and green. Yellow is dominant, green is recessive. Seed shape, round, which is dominant, and wrinkle is recessive. Pod shape, inflated, is a dominant, and constricted is recessive. Pod color, green and yellow. Green dominant, yellow recessive. And stem length, that is tall and dwarf, right? So he had done the different combinations of these traits, and he experimented with all the traits. He has done the experiment, the cross hybridization of all the traits, and he got the result that we are going to see further. So Mendel crossed pure breeding variety first by taking only one feature at a time. So when he took one feature, that is one characteristic, either tall, and what is the other recessive character of tall is small t, or he took the purple plant P and small p for the purple color of the flower, capital P, and the small p for white color of flower, right? And axial for the flower position, and small a flower position, that is terminal. So he took first the one feature, either tall, either color of the flower, or axial, or the shape of the shape of the seed, that is round or wrinkle, okay, or can be seed color, that is yellow or green. So he took only one character. That is why we call it mono hybrid. Why do we call hybrid? By hybrid means there are the two different uh, genes present for a one trait, okay, that is the capital T and the small t. The pairing is of a different type of genes, one responsible for the tallness and the other responsible for the shortness. That is why it is a hybrid. Mono, that means he has took only one character, so that is why we call it a mono hybrid. So he tried with all the 7 features, and his observations were similar for all. Here children, I have taken this two picture where the father has blue eye and mother has brown eye. He is a father and she is a mother, and long before, people used to think that if a father has a blue eye and a mother has brown eye, the child will have something intermediate, or some mixture of these two eyes. Let's see with the help of Mendel's experiments whether this is correct or not. Here the parental plant, here we can see the pure breed. He took the pure breed tall plant, pure breed short plant, okay, after doing so many of pollination. And what he did, he then cross pollinated them, okay. He cross pollinated the pure breed tall plant and pure breed short plant. So I will make a Punnett square here. This is a pure breed tall plant and pure breed short plants. So this is from one parent and this is from another parent. Okay, when these T these chromosomes, when they will form gamete, the single T will go in the gamete and this T will go in another gamete, right? So here I am putting it in a circle, that means these are the gametes. Okay, these are the gametes from one parent and these are the gamete from another parent. Okay, so now when he cross pollinated them, what he got, here also capital T small t, even in this case capital T small t, and in this case capital T small t. Okay, so when he cross-pollinated them in the first generation, that is called F1 generation, which we also call filial generation, for his surprise what he got is he got all the tall plants. He got all the tall plants. So whole these plants are tall plant. Okay, tall plant. Now the tallness of the plant, the characteristic which express itself, okay, and which is most observable, is known as phenotype. Phenotype is a character which express itself, right? Now he got all the tall plants, but what about the genotype? He doesn't know the genotype. Okay, because that time they don't have a knowledge of genes, chromosome and all. What he used the word for genes was a factor. Okay, he found that certain factors are responsible for the characters or for the trait. Okay, he was not knowing about the genes, and the experiments were not done on genes or chromosome at all over that time. So the genotype was not knowing. Phenotype, what he observed, that he got all the tall plants, he couldn't get one single short plant also, and the reason is in front of you, right? So this is the result of F1 generation, and the ratio is 1:1. All tall plants, that out of 4, all the 4 are tall plants, so definitely the ratio is 1:1. Okay, now coming to the next part here, in the second generation, what he did, F2 generation, that is the second filial generation, right? In the second generation, he self-pollinated these plants. Now he got the hybrid. He doesn't know whether he got the hybrid or not. But what he did, he self-pollinated the plant. The same plant, okay, self-pollination, that means the pollen grain of the same plant is fertilizing the carpel, okay, or the ovules of the same flower, right? So when he self pollinated, what the result he got is here, this T and this T, we are getting TT, and this here capital T small t, okay, here again capital T small t, and here small t and small t, right? We are crossing like this, children, and here like this, right? So what he observed, for his surprise, he observed that three almost he took many plants, and the ratio came is, you can see the phenotype, that means something which you can observe, right? This is the character which you can observe, you can see, you can make out the difference. Three plants, or the ratio is 3:1. Okay, so if we say that out of 4 plants, 3 were tall and 1 was short. Okay, so you can see in the first filial generation he couldn't get a single short plant, but in the second filial generation he got 1 short plant and 3 tall plants. This is the phenotype ratio. Now what is the genotype ratio? Genotype ratio is This is a double T, that is, it's a 1 over here. Okay, a pure homozygous tall plant, or we can say the homozygous dominant, and here heterozygous, capital T, small t, capital T, small t. So there are two heterozygous dominant and one is homozygous recessive. Okay, so you can see the differences in the genotype. So this one stands for capital T, capital T. This 2 stands for capital T, small t, that is heterozygous condition. This one stands for homozygous recessive condition, right? So genotype ratio is coming 1 is to 2 is to 3, whereas the phenotype ratio is coming 3 is to 1. This he got in second filial generation. Here you can see the 3 tall plants and the 1 short plant. Okay. So this is about the Punnett square, which we have already discussed. Now coming to the steps of Mendel's experiment. Number 1, I'll just read out the steps. Okay, Mendel selected the true breeding variety for his experiments as parental generation. True breeding, as I've already explained you, true means both the genes are same. Okay, and here also both the genes are same. So this is called a pure breed. So true breeding varieties are the varieties that give rise to the same trait for number of successive generations, right? He keep on self-pollinated these plants, and he got the result that after self-pollinating for so many times, I'm getting all the time tall plant, or if he self-pollinated the short plant, he is getting through many generation, in many generation he is getting only short plant, right? So this is how he confirmed that the parents are true breed or the pure plants. Okay, Mendel allowed several generations of pea plant to self-pollinate and verified that each variety was genetically pure, homozygous for each of the trait, homozygous dominant and homozygous recessive, that he chose to study. By growing the plant for 2 generations and confirming that all offspring were same as their parents. Now coming to the second step, what he did, hybridization of the true breeding variety, right? Hybridization is a process when two individuals having contrast characters are crossed. That is, he crossed the pure plant, okay, this I have already explained you, and he got the hybrid. Hybrid is opposite of pure. Okay, hybrid means heterozygous condition. One is the tall genes and the other one is a short genes, right? And Mendel's conducted crosses between different true breeding plants to obtain hybrid plants. So finally he got the hybrid plants, and these hybrids were named as first filial generation, or you can say first generation. When Mendel examined the F1 plants, he found that expressed only one of the phenotype present in the parental generation. Okay, he also conducted a reciprocal cross, but result was the same in F1 generation. Okay, so F1 generation, all were tall plants. All plants were tall plants. Okay, and what he found here, self-pollinating of F1 generation. Yeah, for getting the F2 generation, what he did, he self-pollinated these plants. Self-pollinated, we know that they have got, okay, here, self-pollinated. Now this is the result of F1 generation, and for F2 generation he self-pollinated the plant. Okay, when he self-pollinated the plant, we got the result. Okay, and that result we have already discussed. capital T, small t, again capital T, small t, and small t and small t. This is how he got. So self-pollinating F1 plant, when two individuals having same genotype are crossed, are called self-pollinating or self-pollination. Okay. So yes, genotype is same. Here you can see capital T, small t, capital T, small t. So this is, the genotypes are same. Mendel planted F1 seeds and cultivated the plants and allowed them to self-pollinate, producing the second filial generation. And what was the result of second filial generation? Three are tall, as you can see here. Okay, three plants are tall. This one is tall, this one is tall, this one is tall, and the last one, the fourth one, is the recessive one, short plant, right? So 3:1 ratio was a phenotype. Now let's see the results of Mendel experiment. I have already discussed about the results, but I just want to go through the result one more time. That is the result of Mendel's monohybrid cross between tall and dwarf pea plant. In F1 generation, all offspring were tall plants. They were not intermediate between the tall and the dwarf. Okay, so here we got the answer of our blue eyes and brown eyes, right? If a father has blue eyes, a mother has brown eye, and the child won't have intermediate color of these two eye. It shows that with the help of the Mendel's experiment, it is very much clear that child will either have blue eyes or he will have brown eyes. The chances of brown eyes is more because the brown color is dominant color. Okay, so if in the genes the condition is heterozygous, then definitely the brown eye, the child will have brown eye, and when the condition is homozygous recessive, only then the child will have blue eyes, right? Now coming to the next point, similar results were obtained regardless of whether the pollen grains or the ova taken from dwarf or tall plants. As Mendel noticed, one of the contrasting characters is dominant, the other is recessive. So even he got the result that the dominant character is going to express, okay, and that is why in F1 generation we got all the tall plants, though the condition was heterozygous. That means one gene was dominant, the other gene was recessive character, okay, but the dominant genes can able to express itself, okay, and the recessive genes couldn't able to express itself. So here on the basis of this experiment, this result, he came out with a law which is called law of dominance, right? And what does this law says? This law says this: out of a pair of contrasting characters present together, only one is able to express itself while the other remains suppressed. Okay, so the one that expresses is dominant, and the one which couldn't able to express itself is known as recessive character. Okay, then Mendel allowed the hybrid plant of the first generation to self-pollinate. Hybrid plants means the two genes are heterozygous, they are controlling two different characters, okay, two genes of different trait. So definitely this is a heterozygous condition, and he self-pollinated the plant, and we have already discussed the result. Phenotype is 3:1 and genotype was 1:2:3, right? So the seed obtained from F1 plant were planted, which developed into plants of the second filial generation, right? So the first filial generation, he got these. This is the result of F1 generation, and when he, okay, crossed these, he got the next generation, T and capital T, small t. This is the another way to show the crossbreeding children, and with the help of Punnett square also you can show. I have drawn the Punnett square, and this is the other way of showing the result. Okay, so we can see, you can see the progeny having the different genotype, and even the phenotype is a different. Three among them are tall and one is short. That is phenotype. And genotype, okay, this is capital T, capital T. There is only one capital T, capital T, capital T, small t. There are two, and the small t homozygous condition is one. So here we can conclude that the genotype is 1 is to 2 is to 1, right? So in F2 generation, this is what is our F2 generation. This is F2 generation, okay, and this one is F1 generation. Okay. Now Mendel took about 1064 F2 hybrid and grew them into plants. Among F2 plants, 787 were tall plants and 277 were short plants, that is dwarf. So approximately he got the ratio 3 is to 1. And children, I want to tell you one more thing. Though we have taken here tall and dwarf, only one trait, okay, but he did this experiment with all the traits. That means with the purple color and white color flower and all the remaining 6 traits, he did the same experiment. And this is all about today's session, children. Practice today's session. Thank you so much.